The stars burned cold and distant, their light a cruel reminder of how vast and indifferent the universe could be. On the edge of a crumbling colony world, where the air was thin and the ground cracked under the weight of despair, a mother stood in the shadows of a marketplace. Her child, frail and trembling, clung to her side, their large, luminous eyes filled with a hunger that no amount of love could soothe. She had no choice. Her child was starving, and the world was cruel to those without power. In a desperate bid to save the one thing that mattered most, she did the unthinkable. She put herself up for sale. Her species, the Kthari, were known for their resilience and fierce loyalty, but they were also hunted, exploited, and traded like commodities across the galaxy. Her once vibrant scales, now dull and cracked, bore the marks of a life spent running, hiding, and surviving. She stood on the auction block, her head held high despite the shame that burned in her chest. She was not a thing to be sold, but a mother willing to sacrifice everything for her child. The crowd murmured, their eyes cold and calculating, as the auctioneer began his spiel. Among the crowd stood a human man, tall and broad-shouldered, his face etched with a quiet intensity. He wasn't searching for a servant, nor did he believe in owning another being. He was a scientist, a man who had spent his life studying the stars and the civilizations that dotted them. He had come to this forsaken world to study its dying ecosystem, not to partake in its moral decay. But when he saw her, a fierce yet broken alien mother willing to sacrifice everything for her child, he made a decision that would change both their lives forever. He bought her. But not to own her. The transaction was swift, the exchange of credits impersonal. She followed him to his ship, her child cradled in her arms, her heart heavy with fear and resignation. She expected cruelty, chains, and degradation. Instead, he gave her food, water, and a quiet corner of the ship where she could rest. He didn't speak much, but his actions were clear. He wasn't her master. He was a stranger who had chosen to intervene in a moment of desperation. As days turned to weeks, what started as an act of mercy became something more. He learned her name, Kayla, and the story of how she had lost everything. Her people had been driven from their homeworld by a ruthless corporate empire that sought to exploit their planet's resources. She had been separated from her mate during the Exodus, and now, all she had left was her child, Lyra. He saw her strength in the way she carried herself, her pain in the quiet moments when she thought no one was watching. And, against all odds, he saw the woman she was beyond the chains of desperation. For Kayla, trust did not come easily. The scars of betrayal ran deep, and the galaxy had taught her that kindness was often a mask for ulterior motives. But the human Elias was different. He didn't demand anything from her. He didn't try to control her. Instead, he offered her a place on his ship, a chance to rebuild her life. He taught her how to navigate the stars, how to repair the ship's systems, and how to defend herself. Slowly, tentatively, she began to let her guard down. But the galaxy was not done with her. The forces that had torn her life apart were relentless, and they had not forgotten the Kthari who had escaped their grasp. When a bounty hunter tracked her to Elias's ship, the fragile trust between them was put to the test. The hunter was armed and ruthless, his eyes gleaming with the promise of a hefty payday. Elias didn't hesitate. He fought to protect her, his hands steady on the controls as he maneuvered the ship through a deadly asteroid field, his voice calm as he instructed her on how to operate the weapons systems. Together, they escaped, but the encounter left them both shaken. In the aftermath, Kayla found herself grappling with emotions she had long suppressed. Gratitude. Hope. And something deeper, something she hadn't felt in years. Could she ever trust him? Could love grow from an arrangement built on sacrifice? Elias, too, was forced to confront his own feelings. He had started this journey as a man driven by curiosity and a sense of justice, but now, he found himself willing to risk everything for a woman and a child who had become more than just passengers on his ship. The road ahead was uncertain. The corporate empire that had destroyed Kayla's world was still out there, its reach vast and its resources limitless. But for the first time in years, Kayla felt a flicker of hope. She had found an ally in the unlikeliest of places, a human who saw her not as a commodity, but as a person. And as the stars stretched out before them, infinite and uncharted, she dared to believe that maybe, just maybe, they could find a place where they belonged. But the galaxy was vast, and its dangers were many. When the forces that had torn her life apart came looking for her, would Elias fight to keep her safe? And if he did, would it be enough? The answers lay in the stars, waiting to be discovered.